Not long ago, my parents sold their house that they had lived in for 43 years. It was the house that I spent my entire childhood and adolescence in, and the home where even my own children and my siblings' children would come and visit. The last time I was in that house on Corral Drive, the house with the yellow door, I spent a little bit of time walking just room to room, just to remember. Entering into each room, I was just flooded with memories of playing and fighting and laughing and crying and learning and growing up and having hard conversations and hugging and trying to forgive. As I closed the front door behind me for the last time, I knew that those memories would forever be part of my life and have shaped who I was. That home and all that it held, all those that held me there, had created this person that I am today. So in many ways, I feel very lucky to have lived and grown up in the same house for so long, my entire childhood and adolescence, and even as a young man. I'm wondering if there are others here who spent their entire growing up period till leaving the house at home. Anyone here spend that long? Just a handful. Actually, okay. Handful. And what about those who have moved around a lot? I spent most of my life in the one home. Has anyone here moved around it's totally optional to share, but 5 or more times during your childhood? Okay. Either military kids or Methodist pastors' kids, I imagine. Well, whether you lived in just one or many, many homes, I imagine each of them holds very unique memories for you. Some good, some bad, but each playing a role in how we define what home means for us. So think for just a moment about what home means to you. How would you finish that sentence? Home is... I know for some of us, the answer to that is home is where the heart is, or home sweet home. But I also know for some of you from your stories that the answer is home is broken home. And still others, the answer is homeless. However you define it and whatever emotions that word brings up for you, try to sit with it, if you will, for just a minute. And feel all the blessings and burdens of what home is now and when you were younger. And how, for better or worse, that home has impacted who you are today. Now, of course, home is bigger than bricks and mortar and rooms and walls. In many ways, it's a feeling, it's a sense, it's people. And it is one of the most powerful words I can think of, home. And for some reason, if there is any time during the year that really highlights the blessings and burdens of family and home, it is Christmas time. Why do you think that is? What is it about this time of year in particular that makes us so nostalgic and look back and reflect, think about memories and traditions, whatever they may be? Maybe it's because it's one of the few times of year where we gather with extended friends or family, and that brings up a lot of memories too. No matter how many, I'm 51 and I still act like a little kid when I'm around my younger brother and punch on him and play pranks on him and just somehow revert back every time I'm around them. For some, I know, hopefully for many, that home is a gift. Your memories of home and even being there now or being where others are. It is a place of peace and joy. But I certainly want to acknowledge that's not everyone's experience. The manager of a coffee shop where I hang out quite a bit to write messages and stuff told me with tears in her eyes after I just asked, well, what are you doing for the holidays? And she just said it's really hard, that she doesn't know what home is. And it's just difficult being around family. So I know for some, the holidays make family even more pronounced, all its blessings and burdens. So be they happy or sad memories, be they kept in some box in a dusty old attic or hidden away in the deep recesses of our mind, those memories are forever part of us. I still, for most of my adult life, put these frosted old Christmas lights on our tree, even though they were probably 40 years old and got so hot, it's a miracle they didn't burn the tree down, just because those are the same lights I grew up seeing every Christmas. And it's also why I just love family heirlooms. These things have so much memory for me. The communion cup for my parents' wedding, 51 or 2 years ago. It just has a lot of meaning. And the coolest thing ever, this is an ashtray that is a piece of furniture. And my grandfather would pretty much bring it room to room, wherever he had a pipe or a cigar. And I just thought, I have to have this. It's amazing. And I didn't know what this was until my parents explained. It's an old milk jug. And apparently this is like a 70s thing, decoupage or something. God knows, but I will own this forever. And just the memories, it just makes just flood over me. I think we hold on to remember. Even though some of those memories are tarnished, like our things, even though family or home can be tarnished, they are our memories. And for better or worse, we hold on tight. And over time, I've come to believe that there is a very important reason why home resonates so deeply with each of us, how it evokes such powerful emotions. And I think it's because there is something about home that calls to each of us. It is like from birth, we are all seeking some place or time where we feel totally safe and accepted and loved and comforted. It is a longing that this woman, Becca, really spoke to in the video, this beautiful and difficult longing that I think has been planted in the human soul by God so that we will always seek our true home. The poet Madeleine L'Engle talks about this search better than anyone I know. She writes, "We are all strangers in a strange land, longing for home, but not quite knowing what home is or where home is. We glimpse it sometimes in our dreams or as we turn a corner, and suddenly there is a strange, sweet familiarity that vanishes almost as soon as it comes." Have y'all ever had that experience? It is like you're going through your day-to-day rhythm, and all of a sudden you just stop. Like you are stopped in your tracks. It could be a double rainbow or a look of your child or a sense of love or whatever it is. It is a magical and mystical moment where you just feel or realize that there's like this whole reality, this unseen reality in your midst. You just can't quite grasp it. You just get a glimpse that there is something more, but then it's gone as fast as it comes, which for me, the handful of times it's ever happened to me, it ends up bringing sadness because it was something I longed so desperately for, but then it's gone, and it's like a dream. You can't even quite describe it or remember what it was like, but that only amplifies the longing. Thankfully, there is a time of year when this thin space where heaven and earth appear to overlap. It's called Advent, and it is a season of longing and waiting and anticipating. It is a hoping to at last find our way home. In fact, I have heard Advent described as a spiritual passageway to the home we long for. It is an invitation to cross a threshold, to enter into something entirely new. And in that sense, all of our stories begin with an Advent passageway, with the opening or the closing of a door, with entering or exiting something in our life. It is even how our own story of salvation begins, with Jesus, Emmanuel, God with us, entering into a real family, stepping through that thin veil between heaven and earth in order to make his home among us, bringing the fullness of home to those who so desperately are lost seeking theirs. Surprisingly, however, there was nothing ideal or romantic about this child's story or his family. Despite our sweet depictions of the Holy Family and children's nativities and in Christmas cards, once you take the glowing halos off these paintings and remove the costume angel wings, what you're left with is a poor, pregnant, unwed teenager. In other words, you've got the start of a family. One that included concerned parents and gossiping neighbors and a couple facing very difficult decisions. Add in at least 6 more children to that family and the death of a father named Joseph before those children all grew up, and you've got not a perfect family, but still a holy family. A family trying, like everyone else, to make a home together. But it was a family and a home that did not have to happen. That scared teenage girl did not have to say yes to that life. God, through the angel, left it up to her. Yet she chose to step through that doorway to something new. It was a choice that would require her to leave her understanding of one home in order to enter into a new understanding of home. But even though she couldn't see what lay on the other side of that threshold, she stepped through it anyway, making one of the greatest declarations of faith ever spoken. Here am I, the servant of the Lord. Let it be with me according to your word. Only someone like that could raise a son who would go on to say, thy will be done, Lord, not mine, but yours. So all homes begin at a threshold, and every threshold we encounter is an invitation to experience the true home that we so long to know. But to experience it, we must step through that spiritual passageway into something new. We must first say, yes, let it be with me. So think for a moment about the thresholds that you have experienced in your own life. Those times when it felt like you were standing in an in-between place, and maybe you are now. In between homes, so to speak. When you found yourself, that was in a time that was neither fully the past nor the future, but instead in this sacred pause between what was and what is becoming. It could maybe be after a death or a divorce or some big life or job or relationship transition. A time when you felt like you were being tugged towards a deeper commitment and relationship with God or some other important change. Whatever brought you to that threshold between lives, between homes, Like Mary, you are given an invitation to step into a new future. For all who have come to this place, and I know most everyone here has, to stand at this doorway to change, you know what it means to feel the push and pull of the door behind you, the life before you, and the choice in front of you. To choose between what was and what can be. I know this tension can be difficult, but every way home begins by taking this holy pause in between homes. In our Christian tradition, we call this pause of possibility a liminal space. Liminal spaces evoke a sense of unease because they are not meant to be destinations. We cannot stand on that threshold forever. It is a temporary passageway between what was and what's next. The term liminal comes from a Latin word meaning, you guessed it, threshold. These holy pauses between homes, difficult as they may be, I do believe are a gift. They are sacred places where God announces that something new is coming. If only we would find the courage to let go and say yes. This pastor I really look up to, named Barbara Holmes, spoke to this when she said, transitions can only take place if we are willing to let go of what we have known, the worlds we have created, and our assumptions about how things are. To let go is the precursor to being reborn. 2,000 years ago, a poor teenager let go and said yes to God, saying, "Let it be with me according to your word." In so doing, she would not only be reborn, but she would give birth. And that new life would give humanity the greatest gift imaginable. For God, understanding our desperate longing for home, along with our inability to find it in our lost state through the birth of Jesus, instead decided to bring home to us. So this Advent, if you find yourself at a threshold, a liminal space in life, longing for home, something, and feel something tugging at your heart, or someone calling to you in a still, small voice, do not ignore it. I believe it is a messenger of God brushing just close enough to you to catch your attention, but with enough distance to give you the freedom to also dismiss it. Heaven is seeking to make its home in you. So as you find yourself in that sacred in-between place, standing at a threshold, the invitation is to trust that that first step toward home begins with you inviting God into yours. So my hope and prayer for all of us this Advent season is that we would not fear the threshold of new life and change, but instead, in the spirit of Mary, say yes and let go and pray. Let it be with me according to your will. In so doing, heaven will make its home